For years, the abandoned trailer on the outskirts of town had been a mystery. It belonged to a man named Jack, who disappeared without a trace over a decade ago. No one knew what had happened to him, but rumors circulated that he had run off with a large sum of money. It wasn't until his son inherited the property that the truth finally came to light. As he began to clean out the trailer, he discovered a shocking secret that his father had been hiding for years. Adam stood in front of the trailer and looked at its state. The trailer was old, broken, and didn't look like much. He wondered why his father had kept this thing a secret from him all these years. But he was about to find out. His father had a pretty good reason for it. As he opened the creaky door and stepped inside, he was greeted by a musty smell and piles of dusty belongings scattered around. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and click the notification bell for more amazing stories. He started sifting through the clutter, hoping to find some answers. As Adam dug deeper into the trailer, he stumbled upon something that didn't seem to belong there. Adam had found the first clue of many, and his search continued. But little did he know the search for answers about his father would leave him with even more questions. But why did Jack disappear without a trace? Why did he leave the trailer to Adam? And what will Adam find inside? When Adam received a letter from the government, letting him know he had inherited something from his father, he was shocked. It had been a long time since he had thought about his father, who had disappeared without a trace when he was just a boy. But the mystery wasn't solved yet. Apparently, his mother had declared his father deceased to the government, hoping to inherit something valuable from him after he had been missing for more than 15 years. But instead, Adam was the one who inherited the only belonging left of his father, a rundown trailer, hidden somewhere deep inside a radon forest. It wasn't the fact that his father was declared deceased that shocked Adam, but more the fact that he had left him something. He had no memory of ever going to a trailer with his father, and when he told his mother about it, she was just as surprised. So what had his father hidden from them? As soon as Adam received the coordinates of where the trailer would be, he packed his bags and drove to it. The forest was a 3-hour drive, sparking even more questions. Why move it so far away? It felt like his already vague memories of his father didn't align with this new information. The forest covered a huge hill in the middle of nowhere. Closest town was an hour away, making it eerily quiet. As Adam followed the route on his phone, he noticed how deep the trailer was located inside the forest. It looked like his father really didn't want anyone to find it. Finally, he noticed something in the distance. He wasn't entirely sure it was the trailer, as it was camouflaged against the forest colors. But with every step Adam took, it became clearer to him that he was walking toward the trailer. He gasped as he stood before it, taking everything in. Trailer's paint was peeling off, and the windows were covered in dust and grime. The back part of the trailer had collapsed, and the door was off its hinges. Mother Nature had clearly taken over the trailer, and it looked like it hadn't been touched in a very long time. What was my father doing with this old thing? Adam thought as he shook his head. He walked around the trailer, inspecting every inch of it. He waited a few minutes before entering the trailer. Something about it made him feel uneasy, but after walking his 5th round around the trailer, he knew he had to go inside. Adam pushed open the squeaky door and stepped into the trailer, enveloped by the musty smell of neglect. Dust and cobwebs covered every surface, and years of debris lay scattered around. Determined to get answers and clean out this old thing, Adam set to work. But he would soon stumble upon something strange. He began by throwing everything outside of the trailer. There in the daylight, he could scatter through it and search for clues. He wasn't really sure what he was looking for, but he hoped to at least find something linked to his father. That way, he he would be sure his father had been here. The ground was covered in debris and broken pieces of the trailer. Adam had to wear gloves for his own safety, as he could easily scratch himself on the splintered wood and rusted metal. He began by organizing the pile into smaller piles: wood on the left, metal on the right, and furniture and other objects in the middle. He didn't care about the mess he made of the trailer. It was already in horrible condition, and there was no way he would be able to fix the trailer over time. It was a lost cause, with its only purpose now to provide Adam with new information about his missing father. Finally, as the sun began to set, Adam found something. A tiny, rusty key lay hidden, buried underneath rubbish on the ground. Nothing inside this trailer was locked, so Adam figured there had to be another location somewhere. His mind raced with speculations. Could there be a hidden safe? He never thought to ever find something of value. All he expected to find was a few photos or maybe a notebook. But as the rumor was about his father leaving with a lot of money, he never figured he could have left some behind. But now, he began to get hopeful. Adam searched the entire trailer again, looking for any signs of a hidden compartment or safe. He examined every inch of the walls, the floors, and the ceiling, tapping and pressing on different areas, trying to find any irregularities. As he was about to give up, he noticed a loose floorboard near the back of the trailer. With the key in hand, he pried open the floorboard and found a hidden compartment underneath. Inside, there was a small notebook. Adam picked up the notebook with trembling hands and started flipping through its pages. He was shocked to find that it wasn't just a notebook, but his father's journal. The journal was made out of expensive black leather and looked like it was greatly used. A little tie kept the page together and the book from opening up. His father must have written something of value inside. Why else would he go to such an extent to hide the book? He immediately flipped to the last entry, and his eyes widened as he read the last pages of the journal. They were directly addressed to him, as if his father knew he would eventually find the journal. His father wrote a strange message to him, but the last few sentences were the most chilling of all. "My son, if you read this, I'm gone. It wasn't at my own will, but I had no other choice. Follow the following coordinates, and you will find what belongs to you, and you only." Adam sighed. What did this mean? What had his father gotten himself into? There was no time to spare. His father's handwriting looked different on the last page than on all the other pages. It looked like he was in a hurry, with the last letter of the last word stretching out as if he was pulled away mid-writing. It set off a series of questions in Adam's head. Adam quickly typed the coordinates into his phone. He was surprised that the coordinates led him to a storage unit not far from his hometown. It was a 2-hour drive back in the direction of his house. So, he locked up the trailer with a padlock he had brought and drove to the storage unit. As soon as he arrived at the location, Adam realized he had driven past this place many times before without ever giving it a second thought. But now, armed with his father's journal and a sense of urgency, Adam wasted no time. He knew his questions were about to get their long-awaited answers. Or so he hoped, because there was one crucial detail that his father never wrote down. Adam hadn't realized it yet, but he was about to. He parked his car and walked to the storage unit facility with confidence. But once he stood in front of the long line of red garage doors, he didn't know where to go. His father never wrote down the unit's number. So, Adam walked over to the manager and asked which unit was listed under his father's name. But strangely enough, there was no unit under his father's name. Adam was very confused and spelled the name many times, but each time nothing came up. He began to get frustrated. All he wanted was answers, but getting them seemed to be a bigger hassle than he had imagined. Adam started to lose hope and was on the verge of turning around and driving home never thinking about this horrible day again. But then, he remembered something. He remembered something his father had written to him. "You will find what belongs to you, and you only." Could the eunuch be under his name instead? Why would his father do something like that? But then it clicked. Of course, his father wouldn't use his own name, not if he was really in danger. And after asking the manager to look under his own name, they got a hit. Unit number 33 was listed under Adam's full name. Adam quickly made his way to the unit and immediately noticed how old it looked. There were cobwebs along the edges, and the padlock was covered in rust. No one had been here in ages. Padlock looked small enough to fit the tiny key, but it was very hard to open as it was rusted. Adam tried to turn the key, but it didn't seem to budge. Luckily, the floor manager had an idea. He sprayed a rust-dissolving spray onto the padlock and waited for several minutes. The manager had dealt with things like this many times before, as people would forget about their units more than you would think. After waiting for a couple of minutes, the lock was lubricated enough, and the manager stepped aside for Adam to try again. And this time, it opened immediately. With a bang, the lock dropped to the ground, and Adam felt his heart racing. "Why am I so nervous?" he thought to himself. He thanked the manager for his help, asked him to stay a little longer. He didn't know why, but he didn't want to be alone for some reason. Adam slowly lifted the garage door of Unit 33, revealing a small, dimly lit space. He stepped inside, and his eyes widened in surprise. The unit was filled with stacks of old, dusty boxes covered in cobwebs. It looked like someone had hurriedly stashed away their belongings and abandoned them there. A thick layer of dust covered the floor, leaving prints of their boots as they walked. The boxes were taped shut and didn't have writing on them, so the only way of finding out the contents was to open them, but Adam hesitated. What if these boxes only disappointed him? Suddenly, Adam's heart started to race. What if he made a mistake by coming here? Was this really worth replacing his fond memories with his father with possible disappointment? Adam feared he would find something he rather wouldn't have known about his father, but it was too late to turn back now. He started opening up a few boxes, and a wave of nostalgia washed over him. He saw his favorite toys from when he was just a little boy and photo albums of him and his father going on their usual adventures. Adam smiled as he couldn't believe his father had kept all of this stuff for so many years. His worries washed away, and he started to open more and more boxes. The whole unit was filled with memories and things his father kept of Adam. Adam felt overwhelmed with a mixture of sadness and happiness. He wanted to believe this was what his father wanted him to know, but it didn't feel over yet. As Adam looked around more, he suddenly noticed something in the back of the unit. There was a door that led to a small room. The manager was stunned, as standard units don't have a second room in them. Adam's father had probably built the wall and door frame himself, creating a secret room. They slowly walked toward the wall and inspected it closely. The wall was made out of thin carton-like material, not usual bricks or cement. It was clearly a homemade makeshift room, but for what? Why would his father build something like this? Adam reached for the door to open it, but stumbled upon yet another surprise. The door was locked yet again. Adam couldn't believe it. How many locks would he have to pick to learn his father's secrets? He had to applaud his father for his effort, but Adam was done looking for keys this time. He took a few steps backward and kicked the door open. The door flew entirely off its hinges and landed on the ground with a bang. Dust clouds rose from the ground, and Adam and the floor manager coughed in their elbows. They waved the dust aside as they stepped inside the room, squinting their eyes to see what was inside. Inside the hidden room, Adam found shelves filled with books, old maps, and documents. There was a large desk with a chair, a small lamp, and a corkboard covered in notes and photographs. It looked like a makeshift office, and Adam couldn't help but wonder what his father had been working on. Adam heard the floor manager gasp as he set foot in the room. He was sure this wasn't something he saw much of, so Adam understood his shock. This was hidden inside one of his units, and if Adam never asked him to stay, he never would have known about it. Adam started sifting through the papers, trying to make sense of the jumble of information. Some of the documents were written in code, while others were old newspaper clippings and photographs. Adam had no idea what it all meant, but he knew his father must have been doing something very dangerous. He shuffled his feet and hit his toe against something. When he looked under the desk, Adam found a hidden chest. "Please don't be locked. Please don't be locked," he thought to himself. And he was in luck, because when he pulled the little handle, the chest slowly opened. What could be inside? Inside the chest, Adam found a stack of documents and a faded photograph tied together. He unfolded the papers and carefully started reading through them. They were incriminating evidence of corruption and embezzlement by powerful individuals in the town, including the same officials who had covered up his father's disappearance. Adam's hands shook with anger as he realized the depth of the corruption that had plagued his town for years. He looked at the photograph and saw his father standing with a group of activists, holding a banner that read, "Justice for All." His father had been fighting against corruption all along. Adam's mind raced with questions. Why had his father kept this evidence hidden? Why did he disappear? What happened to him? Somehow, this gave Adam a bit of hope. Could his father still be alive? Determined to find the truth, Adam decided to confront the only person who could have known about this all along. He thanked the manager for his help, grabbed the box of evidence he had gathered, and drove to his mother's house. She had to know more about this, Adam figured. You can't be married to someone for all those years and not know what they were up to, right? But it was far more complicated than Adam thought. Adam was greeted with mixed emotions when he arrived at his mother's house. His mother, Jessica, seemed surprised and confused to see him. She was hesitant to talk about Adam's father and seemed to be avoiding eye contact. Adam felt a knot forming in his stomach as he realized his mother might know more than she would admit. Adam stood at the door, asking his mother to be let in. She looked at the box in his arms and had a strange look on her face. Adam couldn't tell whether it was sadness, confusion, or shame. He took a step forward and now stood in the hallway. He demanded answers. Suddenly, Adam realized his father had lied to him his whole life. The trips he went on and the days he would miss dinner because he had to work late were all lies. His mother had known and never told him. "Tell me the truth, Mom. That's the least you can do." His mother sighed. All right, she said. "Please sit down." Adam took a seat on the couch, and his mother went upstairs to grab something. Adam felt betrayed by his parents. He wished they would have told him the truth sooner, or at least as soon as he had turned 18. All these years he had spent thinking of his father and what might have happened to him, the rumor of his father leaving them behind always in the back of his mind. And to now figure out his mother might have known the truth all along was heartbreaking, to say the least. His mother returned with a shoebox in her hand. "In here is everything I have left of your father. He didn't just lie to you, Adam. He lied to me too. He left us both. I had always hoped he would suddenly reappear and everything would go back to normal, but it won't. Your father was a complicated man." His mother explained that Adam's father had always been closed off about his work. He would often tell Jessica he had been laid off or had quit. Then he would roam around looking for new jobs and staying away for a long time. Adam's mother had always wondered what her husband did, so one day she confronted him. They had a big fight about it, and Adam's father eventually caved. He told Jessica he was dealing with dangerous men and was trying to keep her and Adam safe. But that wasn't enough for Jessica. She wanted to know exactly what he was doing, but sadly, he couldn't tell her. He had tried to get her to understand, but Jessica persisted. If her husband was doing something dangerous, she felt the need to know, and who could blame her? She worried something would happen to him, and she would have no idea where he would be, and her worries became a reality. A few days after the argument, Adam's father left and never returned. He wrote a letter to Jessica, explaining it was in their best interest not to be in contact with him. Adam's mother cried as she showed Adam the letter. All these years, I wondered if the corrupt men had gotten to him or not. Adam cried with his mother. They shared this heartbreak, and there was no point in him resenting her for no reason. He took the letter from her and held her hand as they read it together. But there was something else his mother hadn't shared with him yet. She continued, "But then, I got a letter a week or so ago. It was addressed directly to me." Jessica reached into the shoebox and gave the letter to Adam. "It was from your father, Adam. I didn't want you to read it, but since you're not letting this go, you give me no other choice." She handed Adam the letter. He looked at his mother, who smiled slightly at him to let him know it was okay. His hands trembled as he took the letter out of the envelope and slowly opened it. He hesitated before reading, but knew deep down he wouldn't be able to rest if he didn't read this. In the letter, Adam's father wrote to his wife to stop searching. He told her to register him as deceased so everyone would get some peace. He asked her to tell Adam he loved him and that he never wanted this to happen, but he had no choice. If he hadn't disappeared, he would have been dead by now. A tear rolled down Adam's cheek. So my father is alive, after all. His mother put a comforting hand on her son's shoulder. "I'm so sorry, Adam." But Adam softly smiled. He now understood why his father had left him. And even though he would probably never hear from him again, he was happy to know he was alive. They hugged for a long time and spent the rest of the day reminiscing about their happy memories with Adam's father. Adam left his mother's house later that day with a content feeling, but he also felt like there was one more thing he had to do in order to leave this behind. Adam was filled with a mix of emotions: pride for his father's bravery, anger at the injustice done to him, and determination to carry on his legacy. He worked tirelessly with law enforcement agencies, prosecutors, and the media to ensure that the corrupt officials faced the full consequences of their actions. Finally, after a long and grueling legal battle, the corrupt officials were found guilty and sentenced to significant jail terms. Towns celebrated the verdict as a victory for justice and a new beginning for their community. Adam knew there was a long road ahead, but he hoped that one day his father could come home the end. Binding bonds through beautiful tales. Thank you for watching.